Hello everybody, hope you're all doing great. This is your Nanda Kumar KV, your tax trainer at iLead Tax Academy and your tax tuner at iLead Tax LLC. Hearty welcome to iLead Tax. Today we are going to know 9 things about the 9-digit ITIN. To begin with, let's start. What is an ITIN? So as you see, ITIN stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. It's a 9-digit number beginning with 9 and the 4th digit is either 7, 8 or 9. So as you see in this example, it could be 912-910786 or 912-810786, 912-710786. Primarily, there are 5 reasons why you need an ITIN. Foremost, if you need to file a US tax return, probably you are somebody who is a non-immigrant, who is a non-US citizen or a non-resident of US, you might have had some income from the US or you've come to US for employment or business and you have a need to file the US tax return, then you may need ITIN. And the second reason is if you have to provide a US tax identification number to a bank or your stockbroker or to somebody that you do your business with, you may need a US tax identification number. And the third reason, in case you have received any payment from any sources within the United States, even then you may need an ITIN. And the fourth reason, if you want to claim any tax benefit or if your taxes have been withheld when any payments have been made to you and you have no liability and you have to get your entire tax withholdings back, then also you may have a need to file the tax return. And finally, if you are somebody wanting to open a bank account in the US, even then you may need an ITIN. Okay, let's understand whom is an ITIN applied for. When the SSN is right there, why should someone be applying for ITIN? As you know, SSN, Social Security Number, is issued for those people who are either US citizens or nationals or US persons or who are qualified to work in the United States. So if you are somebody who is not entitled for employment or who doesn't fall into any of the US nation, citizen or person category, then you do not qualify for SSN. And I encourage you to visit this website www.ssa.gov/SS number to know if you qualify for an SSN before you apply for an ITIN. And also ITIN is usually issued for non-working spouse or kids or parents or in-laws or other relatives. So if you're somebody who is first-time filer in the US, who you're on H1 or L1 or and you have your kids or your spouse who is not in employment, I hate saying non-working, so who are not in employment, so for them it is usually recommended that you file ITIN because the primary purpose of ITIN is to file the taxes. And the second category, ITIN is also applied for non-residents without SSN who want to start a business in the USA. Because they are non-residents, they do not qualify for the SSN, but they can always incorporate a business. They can always incorporate an LLC or a C corporation and get started with the business. And in case they have to start the business, they need a tax identification number, and ITIN is the best tax identification number that they can have as a member or as a sole proprietor, while the entity can have EIN, which is the employer identification number. The third main aspect that you got to keep in mind when applying for an ITIN is you got to know whether the ITIN applicant is in the USA or he is outside the USA. So for people from India, most of the time, if you are a first-time filer, the person goes to US, he gets settled in the job, and once things get settled, then he takes his family or his kids to USA, and that's how the process works. So here, whenever you're applying for ITIN, I encourage you to check where the applicant is. Is the applicant in the United States or is he outside the United States? Let's understand what happens when the applicant is inside the USA, is within the USA. How does the ITIN application process go here? When the applicant is inside the USA, you have 2 options. two ways how you can file an ITIN. Either you can go in person to the nearest IRS office, which we normally call as Taxpayer Assistance Center, or you can mail your tax documents to the Internal Revenue Service. To find your nearest Taxpayer Assistance Center, just go to Google, type Taxpayer Assistance Center, and you will be routed to the Internal Revenue Service website. Check out the state in which you reside, and you will be able to find out the nearest Taxpayer Assistance Center. And if you need more assistance on finding out a Taxpayer Assistance Center, please feel free to call our office on 530-HI-iLead, and our team will be more than happy to assist you. So as I said, when the applicant is in USA, there are two options. One, he can go in person to the Taxpayer Assistance Center, or two, he can mail the documents. So let's look at the first option of visiting or going in person with the ITIN applicant to the IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center. So what is the process that's involved here? It says visit the Taxpayer Assistance Center along with the ITIN applicants. You see the image there? So submit the below documents. That's your Form W7. Form W7 is the form that is used to apply for ITIN, and for each applicant you need to have a separate Form W7. And you got to attach your federal tax return, the Form 1040 if you are a resident or a citizen, Form 1040 NR if you are a non-resident, and Form 1040 SR, which is applicable from 2019 tax year in case you are a senior citizen. And you got to attach your wage statement, which is Form W2, and carry the original passports of each ITIN applicant. Normally, it is returned post the ITIN evaluation process, and once this evaluation is done, you will receive your ITIN within 6 to 8 weeks from the date of applying for ITIN. Let's review the second option. In case you do not wish to go in person to the nearest Taxpayer Assistance Center or the IRS office, you can mail the documents also, in which case you will have to mail your original passports to the IRS. The process remains the same. Instead of carrying the passport, in the first option we said that we carry the passport to the IRS office along with the applicants, and it is usually returned. But in the second option that we are now reviewing, mailing the documents to the IRS, you mail the Form W7, your federal tax return, your wage statement along with the original passport to the Internal Revenue Service. Of course, the applicants are still with you. And you see the address there, IRS Austin Service Center, ITIN Operation, Austin, Texas. That's the address where you normally mail the documents. Once this operation is done, you get your ITIN within 6 to 8 weeks from the date of you mailing the documents to the IRS. Okay, let's now understand what happens when the applicant is outside the USA. We have clients from different parts of the world, not just India. We also have clients from China, Germany, Pakistan, Afghanistan. US is a world in itself. So you have dependents, you have people making income there, you have their families and all their dependents are also placed, and we need to apply for ITIN because including their family members on the tax return qualifies them for certain tax benefits, which you will see in the other series of videos also that will be covered in this channel. So as you're watching this video, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you can stay updated with all the tax benefits that is offered by the Internal Revenue Service and also by the state government. So let's quickly look at the options that is available in case the ITIN applicant is outside the USA. So there are three options here. As you see here, the first option is mail the original passport to the IRS. The second option, mail the certified copies of passport to the IRS. And the third option is mail the certificate of accuracy to the IRS. Now let's try to understand each of these three options here. The first option, it says mail the original passport. So it is very much similar to the second option that we have seen earlier. If the applicant is within the USA and he chooses not to visit in person but mail the documents. So this is more or less similar to that. So here what happens? If you see the first option here, we mail the original passport. We attach the original passports of each ITIN applicant with separately filled Form W7 for each applicant. We attach the federal tax return, any of the three types of tax return which I said, 1040 or 1040 NR or 1040 SR. Then attach the wage statement. and mail it to the IRS office at Austin, Texas address, and you get your ITIN within 6 to 8 weeks from the date of your application. And the next one, in case the person chooses not to send the original passports of the ITIN applicants to the IRS, he can get the passport of each of the ITIN applicants certified by the issuing agency, which is normally the passport office or the USA embassy. But this method is very time taking, but this also works. And you need to attach your federal tax return, wage statement, the certified copies of those passports, and again send it to Austin, Texas, and you get your ITIN in 6 to 8 weeks of time. And the last option that's available is the certificate of accuracy. In case you work with a certifying acceptance agent, he will issue a certificate of accuracy confirming that he has reviewed the need for you applying for ITIN, and he attests the document saying that you are qualified to apply for ITIN. That certificate is called certificate of accuracy, and only a certifying acceptance agent issues it. And attach the Form W7 to it, attach the federal tax return, wage statement, and then the copy of passport of each ITIN applicant, and then mail it to the IRS. Okay, so far we have been saying that, whether the ITIN applicant is in USA or outside the USA, attach passport and all. Now, what happens if there is no passport? I usually tell in my training sessions, what if your Chintu celebrated Diwali with the passport? So just kidding apart. So in case you do not have a passport, what are the additional documents that you can attach to get your ITIN? So the IRS recommends the following documents, of which the following 4 are very important. One is a US CIS documentation with a photo identification, or a visa that is issued by the US Department of State, or the civil birth certificate of the applicant, or the copies of original documents, any original documents that's certified by the issuing agency. 99% Chintu does not celebrate Diwali with the passport, but just in case you lose your passport, these are the options that's available to you. Number 5, what you cannot do with an ITIN. Now, when people get ITIN, they must not believe that it is equivalent to SSN. ITIN doesn't confer you social security benefits. Let's look at these 4 things, okay? The first one, you do not become an immigrant or a lawful permanent resident of the United States, or does it change your immigration status? So you cannot call that you are a citizen or resident of US just because you have an ITIN. That's number 1. 2, you cannot use ITIN as an identity proof. So the moment we expand the word ITIN, it stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. Taxpayer Identification Number. Taxpayer identity, but it is not an identification proof. That needs to be very clearly understood. And the next one, it says you do not get the right to work in the United States. You cannot work in the United States just with an ITIN. And finally, you do not qualify for the social security benefits. So normally we call something as FICA taxes, the social security taxes, or the Medicare taxes, which gets deducted from the employee's pay every month. The employer also makes an equal contribution, and all these contributions get stored in the social security benefit account, which gets paid to him, the taxpayer, at the end of his retirement, death, or disability, whichever is earlier, by the Social Security Administration. So it's primarily for those people who have SSN and who are working or are in business, wherein they run payroll and all. But if you're somebody with ITIN, you do not get social security benefits. And as I said, the only purpose of ITIN is to help you file your federal tax return, just to help you file your tax return. Once you have received your ITIN, does that mean that it is valid for life? It is valid for eternity? Even the heaven and earth will pass away someday. So even ITINs do expire and they need to be renewed. It is reported that almost like 2 million ITINs are going to be expired by the end of 2019. And if you look at this chart, ITINs with middle digits 78 and 79 have expired as on December 31st, 2016. I'm reading from your right to left. So ITINs with middle digits 78 and 79 have expired as on December 31st, 2016. They must be renewed. And ITINs with middle digits 70, 71, 72 and 80 have expired as on December 31st, 2017. So in case you received your ITIN, I encourage you to please check your middle digits. I said the fourth and the fifth digits. I want you to please review your middle digits and check if you fall into that so that they can be renewed. And ITINs with middle digits 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 81 and 82 expired as on December 31st, 2018 and they must also be renewed. And ITINs with middle digits 83, 84, 85, 86 and 87, they expired very recently. That's on December 31st, 2019 and they must also be renewed. And the point that you have to keep in mind is that any ITINs which have been issued after 2013 and which has not been used for at least one out of the last 3 years in any of the tax filing, then they will expire as on December 31st of that particular tax year and they must be renewed. I repeat, if you have not used your ITIN for filing your tax return for any of the last 3 tax years, then they expire as on the December 31st of that particular tax year and they must be renewed. And in case you received any ITIN in the past for your spouse or dependent or anybody, make sure you renew your ITIN or else you're going to renounce or you're going to lose the benefit for your spouse or for your dependent. The next important thing that we need to know is how to fill an ITIN application form. If you look at the form per se, you see there 6 or A to H, you see the boxes there. So if you can come closer, you see boxes A to H. So non-residents normally check A, non-resident alien required to get an ITIN to claim tax duty benefit, or B, non-resident alien filing a US federal tax return. So if you are a non-resident alien, so you normally check either A, B or F. And if you're somebody who is a US resident alien, in the sense if you have been in US for at least 6 months or you qualify to be a resident under any of the tax guidelines that is recommended by the US, then you check option C. Or in case you are spouse or dependent of any, or in case you're married to a US citizen or you are a child of a US citizen or a US resident alien, then you select D and E. And then in case you are a non-resident spouse of a non-resident taxpayer, like if you're somebody on F2, then you select option G. And to give you a quick walkthrough here, you got to fill your name, box number 1, the name, first name, middle name, last name, that is as it is now. Then 1B, you see, you fill your first name, middle name, last name, that is before marriage, and after marriage normally for women the name changes. And you see the applicant's mailing address. This is normally the address where they intend to receive the ITIN. And one of the points that you got to remember is that ITIN will come to you only by mail, I mean by post. It does not come by email, or it doesn't come by SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook message or anything. Nor it's going to be published in newspaper. It will come to you by post, and you need to have a US address or of course a foreign address also to receive your ITIN. And you see line number 3 there, the foreign address. This needs to be the address that is normally there on the passport. So if you are somebody from India, the Indian address on the Indian passport is normally entered here. And then line number 4, date of birth, please enter the date of birth, and because it is US, we follow month, day and year format. Enter the country of birth, the country that you were born, and enter the city and state in which you were born. It's not the current city where you are living, the city and state where you were born, and put your gender in box 5. And 6, country of citizenship, probably India, your foreign tax ID number, your PAN number, permanent account number in case, and type of US visa. So if you're somebody dependent So let's say you're a dependent spouse or a dependent kid, then type of a H1 taxpayer, then type of US visa. For their dependents will be H4, so put the type of visa as H4, put the H4 visa number there and put the expiration date, and then you see the identification documents on 6D. You have passport, driver license, state ID, USCIS documentation and all. I encourage you to check the passport because we are attaching the unexpired passport of the ITIN applicant, and then it's issued by India. Enter the passport number in the number, put the expiry date and date of entry into the United States. You put the date of entry, the first port of entry, the first date of entry into United States, enter that. And 6E, have you previously received an ITIN? If you have never received, enter it no. If you received, please enter yes. And if you have entered yes, come to 6F and enter the ITIN number there, what was issued earlier. And if you are a student, the college or the university, you can enter it in 6G. Anyways, till 6F, I believe, from 1A to 6F, it is clear to you so far. Okay, so let's go further. You see the sign here tab, it says that, under penalties of perjury, I declare that I have examined this application, including accompanying schedules, documentation and statement, and to the best of my knowledge and belief, it is true, correct and complete. It is not true and fair. It is true, correct and complete. I love that line here. I authorize the IRS to share the information with my acceptance agent in order to perfect this form and the signature of the applicant. So if you are somebody who is 18 years and above, so if you are a dependent of your taxpayer, so he could be your husband, he could be your spouse, your wife, or it could be brother, sister, mother, father, uncle, auntie, brother, sister, anybody. So that person is going to sign in signature of applicant. But in case this is the ITIN application for your child, for your Chintu, Bunty or Bubbly, then you got to sign it. You got to sign it in signature of applicant and write your name and name of the delegate and put the delegate's relationship to applicant. So you can check parent, enter the date above and then the phone number, and then acceptance agents use only. So in case you are filing your ITIN using certificate of accuracy, then you need to fill the acceptance agent's thing, and the acceptance agent will fill it. So in case the acceptance agent is filling it, he'll put his signature, date you're filing the form, his phone number, his fax, his PTIN, preparer tax identification number, then his EIN, his firm's EIN, employer identification number, then name of the company, let's say iLead Tax LLC, and name and title of the person, example Nanda Kumar KV. The 8th important thing that you need to know is what should you be doing once you receive your ITIN. So first thing, you got to notify your tax preparer that you received your ITIN. In case you are availed a certifying acceptance agent's service, he will also get a copy of the ITIN. And in case he is your tax preparer, you will also be notified of that. But still, you will be receiving it first most likely. So it's always advisable that you tell your tax preparer that you received your ITIN. And once you receive your ITIN, you got to file your state tax return. Of course, you need not file the state tax return if you reside and you do not have any taxable income in any of these following states: Florida, Alaska, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, New Hampshire, Nevada, Wyoming, and Washington. And as I always say, by law, a person cannot have both an SSN and an ITIN. You got to renounce your ITIN in case you get an SSN. And the 9th step is the most important step that you need to know about an ITIN. That is, in case if you like this video, I encourage you to please like this video, share it with your family, friends and colleagues, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram so that you can get our latest tax updates, and please be part of our vision to serve 1 million Indians in the United States by 2025. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you have any thoughts, comments or inputs to make this video further better, or if you are looking for any video or any information on any tax topic that you might be struggling for, please comment below or please write to Nanda Kumar KV at iLeadTax.com, and I'll be more than happy to present a short video on the topic that you have requested for. Have a wonderful day ahead, and I hope you will be sharing this with your loved ones.